The following podcast is brought to you by the Ebb Tide Treatment Center. Many people wrestle with addiction. You don't have to. Reach out to the Ebb Tide Treatment Center, where they wish to empower each individual encountered with the support, hope, and tools required for long-term sobriety, priding themselves on providing the best possible treatment experience for you and your loved ones based on unique needs. They're committed to breaking the stigma that plagues those suffering with addiction and their families by educating and bringing awareness to the community. The Ebb Tide Treatment Center provides individual and group therapy, multiple recovery pathways for support, evidence-based clinical support, integrated aftercare social reintegration, personalized treatment planning, program addressing whole life health, and Vivitrol program, all available. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, reach out to them at ebbtidetc.com or call 844-430-4357. Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to another fun edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get to our show for you this week, a word for all of our sponsors that help us bring this show to you for absolutely free week in and week out. First, I want to thank Smart Mark Video, who takes care of all of our video recording needs when they are at the show and live events, and they enable us to put those on sale for you by DVD or MP4. Check them out at smartmarkvideo.com. Also, we want to thank Angelo's Pizza. They deliver Angelo's Pizza right to us at our live events, and you yourself can go to Angelo's on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. Try their award-winning pizza at any time, as well as other fine Italian dishes that they have there. Also, we want to thank Jack Prince, who takes care of all of our graphic design, signage, banners, flyers, and apparel needs. Anything you can think of, they can do for you as well. Make sure you check them out at jackprince.com.
JAKPrince.com.
And we don't forget, we have a promo code for Jack Prince.
We got another one.
Absolute CLE1. You could save up to $75 off your order. I know a bunch of you wrestlers on the road right now. You are heading to WrestleMania weekend just like we are, and you need merchandise printed. Jack Prince will print it for you for up to $75 off by using promo code AbsoluteCLE1.
All right, on this week's show, if you listened to last week, you know that we sat down with Gringo Loko, who returned to AIW after a heart attack. On this week's episode, we talk about the show where he did return. It was Walk the Plank. We talked to him before that, but this week we talk about the show itself. My name is Steve Guy, moderator of sorts, and I am joined each week by the owners of AIW, John Thorne and Chandler Biggins. You've already heard their voices. Hear them again. Come on, Biggins, say something.
Sup.
You got real, like, morning radio radio DJ voicey there.
I did. Yeah, I noticed that.
You had, like, the morning zoo voice going.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Before we talk about Walk the Plank, I know we kind of didn't acknowledge it last week, but man, were people pissed off about that bad emails episode.
We got a lot of heat for that, didn't we?
Yeah. I think especially me and Steve Guy.
Somehow John Thorne escaped unscathed.
John Thorne, totally squeaky clean.
Well, I wasn't so squeaky clean. I was the one that was approached about the potential pending litigation coming our way based on that episode.
But you were the one that was approached, but your name was never in it. It was always Steve Guy did this, Chandler Biggins did this.
And you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
It's not even my podcast.
My lawyer is Veda Scott, so I think I'm fine.
Well, I don't know. I don't think she's practicing.
Yeah, does she still practice?
I don't know.
I don't think she's ever practiced. So yeah.
And also, I want to apologize to Beard Life. One of his fans was very offended.
Yeah, we wanted to see if this blew over last week, and now we just had to acknowledge there may not ever be a read bad emails episode ever again. That is up in the air. until further notice, until we find out exactly how this is all going to shake out for us.
As long as the statute of limitations runs out, I'm all for another bad emails episode. It was one of my favorite ones.
We do appreciate all the positive feedback that we got. We got a lot of that too, though.
We did get quite a bit of positive feedback.
I would say way more positive than the few negatives.
But none of the positive was involved a pending civil litigation.
If the positive feedback people would be willing to pay our legal fees, we can do more of those.
Make sure you head over and donate to our Patreon account. We're gonna have do another bad emails reward section.
Yeah,
you could tell everybody to contact our lawyer. Do we cheat them and how?
Yeah, if you do want us to do another, I don't know who that is.
That's a Three Stooges joke.
The only fucking Three Stooges fan living in this fucking millennium, Chandler Biggins.
I love the Three Stooges.
They are good. If you do want us to do another email, that's a good point. Another email podcast, definitely go to our Patreon account and donate us some money. Then we could do it.
I also have a big announcement to make.
Uh-oh.
If you motherfuckers want to hear about this fucking werewolf, quit tweeting me about it. If we get how many reviews we got right now on iTunes?
We got 60 reviews.
If we get to 100 reviews, I'll reveal the fucking werewolf story so people leave me alone and let me have my privacy.
Did you now since we all live in this studio apartment here in Parma Heights, Ohio?
Fucking.
Is your knife here?
I never leave home without it.
You do realize, this is what I had to ask, you know that a knife doesn't kill a werewolf, it's a silver bullet.
Yeah, you need a silver bullet.
This guy wasn't a real werewolf, but see, I'm already telling you too much. You get us to 100 5-star reviews on iTunes, and I will reveal the deepest, darkest secret of my entire life. Let's talk about the goddamn walk the plank now.
Goddamn.
I was going to say, should we give Missy Hyatt a shout out because her dog is sick?
Shout out to Missy Hyatt.
She does love our show. We appreciate Missy's support all the time.
I offered to buy her dinner at the Kissimmee, Florida Medieval Times, but she refused my offer.
Oh, well, her dog's not doing so well, so she's buy some Missy Hyatt merch.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if you're going to have money to take somebody out for dinner. We got to fucking lawyer up pretty soon.
Veda Scott drives a hard bargain.
Dude, I don't know if I would be trusting her with my legal knowledge. She gets hit in the head a lot, man.
Yeah, 9 lives went a couple years ago.
Well, let's get into the Walk the Plank show then. Right off the bat, I think it's worth talking about. We'll go through the whole card, but the show was specifically named, as everybody knows who pays attention to AIW and specifically this podcast, Walk the Plank, because someone thought Louis Linden was a pirate. He is not, but Louis Linden's opponent for the show was the pirate Paul Burchill, making his grand return to wrestling.
Like the whole thing kind of started as a joke because of the whole Matt Riddle situation.
So Paul Burchill makes his grand return to wrestling, happens to be at AIW. Tell everybody kind of how that came about.
Well, I guess we got to go back to kind of the beginning of the whole thing is well before this pirate thing happened with Matt Riddle. Colt Cabana randomly sent us a message. It was like, hey, you guys should book Paul Burchill. And I was like, that's a weird message to get. He's like, he lives in Ohio. He's like, you should book him sometime. He wants to get back out there. And he gave me his contact and everything.
And this was a while ago, right?
Yeah, this is probably 2 months before this whole pirate, Louis Linden's a pirate thing. So it was just kind of like one of those things that was in the back of my head. And as soon as that happened, I got a hold of Paul Burchill, and we worked out details and things like that. And we booked him, and then we decided to call the show Walk the Plank because I forget, we were going to call the show something else, and then all this happened, and we just made the kind of the switch on the fly. Like, it was just going to be a normal show, and then we're like, nope, that's out. Pirate theme. What kind of pirate wrestler can we get? We need to get some, we're thinking about fucking PCO and who's another wrestling pirate?
The Cutthroat Crew locally.
Yeah, and we're just trying to think of different things just to kind of turn the negative kind of publicity that was brought our way into a positive. I go, oh fuck, I know I have Paul Burchill's contact information from 2 months ago from Colt Cabana. So I hit him up, and we work out the details, and I book him and all that stuff, and then we name the show, and the flyer goes up. And Paul Burchill is pretty much off the grid of social media, so he has really no idea. Like, he had a Twitter, but then it looks like he hasn't used it in like a year. So we just put up a picture of the Pirate Paul Burchill against Louis Linden and call the show Walk the Plank, and we hope for the best, because I for all I know, he didn't want to be the Pirate. He hated the Pirate gimmick, but we were just gonna announce it and see what happens, pretty much.
And I looked up on like Cage Match, like what he's worked, and I think he's only had like 3 matches in the last like 3 years maybe, and they were all in Europe.
Yeah, so we announced the match, and like it gets great attention on Twitter. So much attention on our Facebook and stuff and Instagram. So we're like, okay, this dumb idea seems to have people's interest. And then, Paul was like one of those guys where he's emailing me like once a week, like, hey man, is the booking still on? Are we still good? My family wants to come, like stuff like that. And then I was just like, oh yeah, man, things are going. People seem really pumped that you're wrestling again. And then I just sent him the graphic of the match, which was him in the pirate getup. And I was just, because I didn't know how he felt about it, I was just like, let's see what happens. And he responded, do you want the pirate? And I didn't know, like, you can't really tell tell the tone.
That could be positive or negative.
Yeah, it was just one sentence, and I'm like, oh man, I think he's fucking pissed about doing this fucking pirate thing.
Yeah, like you brought up the one soft, like, sore spot of his entire
career.
Like,
oh man, this is probably like something he hated to do. And I go, yeah, man, if you feel comfortable doing the pirate, I think people would really want to see the pirate again. And he responds back like, oh man, absolutely, I love doing the pirate. He goes, I can't believe anyone wants me to be the pirate again. And he goes,
which I think his next like thing was to drive to the dollar store and buy all the beads to throw the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that, but he's like, I haven't been the pirate in 10 years. He's like, I'm so excited to be the pirate again. I feel alive. Like we've resurrected his spirit for pro wrestling.
Who knew to light the fire in him would just give him a pirate gimmick?
So I was like, fuck, that went a lot better than I thought, because for all, like, honestly, I thought that he was going to be fucking pissed, and it was like some stupid gimmick.
And especially because, like, you've heard a lot of times, like, oh, if you interview such and such wrestler, don't bring up this one gimmick, like,
right.
And how, like, Demolition Smash was so offended when Thorne asked for the Blacktop Bully.
I couldn't believe how offended he was. Like, so that's kind of giving me like a complex when asking guys to do like these weird, like, former gimmicks, because I thought that Barry Darsow would have just loved to have come in.
This is always going to bother me, by the way.
For a payday where he didn't have to paint his face or do anything. He just had...
You don't got to wear you're a 60-year-old man. You don't have to wear S&M gear. You just wear a red shirt.
We literally would have just had to have gone to the thrift store and picked up a red like button-up shirt and cut the sleeves off day of for 67 cents. And he would have got his full payday. That's all he had to do. But he was fucking... absolutely not. So in my head, when I'm asking Paul Burchill to be the pirate, I'm thinking I'm going to get the Darsow treatment. Darsow.
Yeah, it's not like Doug Gilbert where he just says, buy everything, brother, and I'll be there.
Oh my God. I don't think we ever talked about that, about how we had to just purchase like
Freddy Krueger gear, yeah.
3XL Freddy Krueger stuff, but there wasn't such a thing. So you found some shirt from like...
Yeah, I had to import it from Europe.
I thought it was like Singapore or something.
No. I ordered the mask, the hat, the fingers, and the shirt, and then I had to find a 3X flannel shirt that looked like Freddy. And then I got so pissed, I texted Thorne this past Halloween. Every ad on Facebook was the Freddy Krueger sweater. But for the life of me, I could not find a 3X sweater when I looked before. But then for this year at Halloween, they had 1 million of them. But yeah, Doug Gilbert shows up, And then the best was Doug Gilbert was so mad that we didn't get him metal fingers. I go, we're not going to spend $300 on metal fingers for a joke match with Dick Justice.
Yeah, he probably wanted to make off with that. And
Yeah, like fucking the midget with our fucking staple gun.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that
Next week. That's a tease for next week.
Well, they say everything happens for a reason, and I guess if that entire situation had to happen for the benefit of Paul Burchill to have the fire lit, you know what I mean? A good thing happened there, right?
It's
Makes
like
it feel good.
It was like Final Destination to get Paul Burchill's career back on track, I think.
Yeah, like the pieces were just like moving in the right directions too. And like I didn't talk to him too much, but Thorne did. And like he said his phone was blowing up after we put up the thing.
Yeah, he said like he's like had some contact from like some, I guess, more major promotions. Just after the graphic went up and people reaching out and seeing, what his status was and things like that. And he said, so he was like very thankful. And I got a chance to talk to him for quite a bit. I mean, it was pretty funny because we actually were recording the Gringo Loko episode when Paul Burchill arrived, and like, I thought it was like a teacher showing up or a dad looking for the kid. Like he was so dadded out, like in his like real life wardrobe. He had on like the little like the fleece with like the zipper like
the
neck zipper. Yeah.
And he had the dad jeans going
and the short like buzz cut.
Yeah,
because fans actually asked me if it's the real Paul Burchill because people are used to the long hair.
Long hair, yeah.
Like we should have bought him like extensions or
so
a wig.
I will say he was very excited because I talked to him beforehand too. Of course, trying to get all his information, whatever he wanted. And some fans were disappointed because they wanted him to come up and get a picture, but he wanted to make sure that the pop happened when he came out as the pirate for that.
Yeah,
for
a lot of people were disappointed in the fact that like he didn't run his merchandise stand, but I think it was like like you were saying, the pop when he came out, and also I think like nerves because he really hasn't done anything that major in a while.
Yeah, like I think there was a lot of nerves because I was like, do you want to do photo ops and things like that? And he was just like, oh, yeah, I want to get my match together. I want to figure all this out.
Yeah, because I had people ask him and he's like, oh, I'll do it later.
And then I think he meant to do it later, and I think he was so amped up because
like him and was pumping
like,
then.
I'm telling you, man, Paul Burchill was a working motherfucker that night.
He was, yeah.
Like that dude worked hard. They went for probably 20 minutes.
And he looks like $1 million. Looks like he just came right off of TV.
Yeah, they had a fun match, and there were some spots in there that they pulled off, and I was like, oh man, Paul Burchill.
It was, and like the weird thing that I realize is, there's the gorilla position, there's the Traxler position, and then there's the Thorne position, which is at the AIW bar stand, drinking, watching the show. That's the Thorne position at the AIW shows.
I referred to it as the Sanka section, but
Sanka section, whatever. Biggins has his Biggins booth at the front door, and I got the Thorne position at the bar,
and if you ever want booked for AIW and we don't know who you are, don't go to either of those positions.
Yeah, stay away from those positions. But like it was kind of surreal because like I'm there and then I look around me and like the bar area and like that whole section is just sold out with workers because they all wanted to watch Paul Burchill wrestle, which was like. And I look and like there's Colin Delaney who is in the WWE and Hornswoggle and like they're all they're literally popping for him wrestling again and like just talking about, oh man, he's so good, and like how excited they were to see him get back in the ring.
And I think a big thing about like when the flyer went up, he got all the calls. I think wrestling is a very like, what have you done for me lately kind of business. So if you fall out of the like spotlight, I think people forget about you. And I think us bringing him back kind of like went, oh my God, that's the guy. Like it's, that's the guy from TV or whatever. I love him.
Yeah, AIW really just taking dreams and making them come true
without
all
even
over
knowing.
Again, because Paul Burchill rolling back, and then of course again on this card was Mike Tolar, who has made his resurgence. From going from one to the other, just bringing them all back.
I mean, it makes you feel good. I tell you what, like it makes you feel a little positive inside when you hear. Like I said, I had a lot of time to talk to Paul Burchill. We talked for probably 45 straight minutes, and like I just couldn't believe how appreciative this guy was and how excited he was to get back and wrestle again, because he said he hadn't been doing so much, and like he even like had his whole family brought in to come to the show because he said like 2 of his kids have never seen him wrestle live before, and
That's crazy
like,
to think. Yeah.
I think his like in-laws were there, and
Yeah,
like
he had about 6 people.
I was gonna say, yeah, I thought he had like half a dozen people come with him, and he had the beads. Everybody loved the beads. He wanted to make sure kids got the beads, and threw them out, took care of everybody.
And like, you know, it's so funny because this whole thing started as kind of like a rib on a shitty situation, and for it to have like such a positive, like kind of finale, it was like, holy crap! Like this really changed the course of where it started.
It meant a lot to him in general, and he was like really pumped. I know, getting his info down, and we're doing like the ring announcement stuff, and he's like, "Oh, could you say that as of 2013, I'm now a U.S. citizen?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, I can say that, Paul." So the whole thing was just like his coming out party. He's like, nobody knows I'm from the U.S. now. They all think I'm from England.
Not only is he from the U.S., he lives in Ohio.
He lives in Ohio. Yeah,
Couldn't get more U.S. than Ohio.
that's right, buddy.
But like our old commentator Colette Aaron, she was saying that like a big thing was this is the magic of AIW where we take a negative and turn it into a really positive situation.
Yeah.
And I know people love the fucking train wreck stories that happen to us, and like I understand, like I get that that's endearing, but this show was really not that much of a train wreck. I mean, other than Matt Cross breaking his leg,
And not knowing about it.
So, I mean, let's get into that because there are surprises, and of course, the show being the card is going to change. We're lucky, and you guys were fortunate, and then there really wasn't that many. There weren't that many changes you had to do, with the exception of Matt Cross, who was supposed to take on Joey Janela, which everybody was amped about.
Yeah, and especially I think the number one fan of that match was Joey because of what an independent wrestling fan he is and what, you know, M-Dog, Matt Cross has meant to the East Coast, to the Midwest.
And Matt finds out he breaks his leg, was it a week, 2 weeks before
Like a month?
Was it a month?
He's been walking around on it for what, like 2 months?
Well, he had broken it, some time ago.
Like he sends me like this, like he sends me a Facebook instant message, and it was just like, "Hey man, I hate to do this, but my leg is broken." And he just sent me a photo of the X-ray, and I was like,
It's like a zigzag.
I was like, holy shit. Like, okay, you know, like I'm thinking like this is gonna be like a long-term injury, and he goes, "But I went to the doctor, and they said I shouldn't have been able to walk, so I've already been healing for a month. So like, I don't know what my status is, but he's like, I definitely can't do the show in 2 weeks."
Only Matt Cross would be walking around and healing at the same time.
Yeah, he goes, "I missed one show. Otherwise, I've been just taping it up, and it hurts, but it's not black and blue, so I didn't really worry about it."
The guy's got muscles everywhere. He's got like muscles in his bones, probably, that are just holding it together.
Probably drinking some muscle milk.
Probably. So Matt Cross can't make it. Are you panicking then?
I mean, we don't really like. We don't even panic the day before. So 2
That's
weeks
true.
out, we're like, fuck, you know, we got plenty of time. Because like we've pulled off some really crazy shit with like hours notice. So like,
Sure, Shane Douglas.
I mean, there's a zillion times where we were down to the wire and something comes together. So 2 weeks out, like it wasn't like, oh shit, like what do we do? It's like,
Plus, we figured if we had to book Shane, he would have 2 weeks to send his 300 emails.
right. So we were just like, it's not like, what should we do? It's like, okay, who do we think would be a cool reaction? And then, you know, we're just like, oh, you know, let's get Candace. Let's have Candace. You know, we hit her up and she was available, and it just so happened to work out. And
it's one of those things where we've been trying to work her back in a lot lately.
Right, 'cause we haven't seen her since September, since
the whole
Johnny's last
shebang,
show.
yeah, since, you know, they moved to Florida.
And like we've checked with her a lot of dates, but she's either, you know, on the road because she does a lot of stuff like internationally and just booked up. And it's just one of those things where it both worked out for both of us. So it was awesome to have her back. She's one of the best.
And there was a lot of speculation of who was going to fill that role. What did anybody actually get it right?
Yes, I saw one person say Candace.
One person did say Candace.
Yeah, but like we were thinking like that would probably be the last person on anybody's mind for that, and it would also get a gigantic reaction to our live audience.
Which it did.
Which I want to just say something about some of the speculation with the mystery would be. Some of the people that were actually picked were people that were probably way higher than the budget of the entire show. People think we're just gonna like have the Great Muta come out.
Yeah, come on, guys. You guys are insane. Like, let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Like, I live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
With me and Steve Guy.
That's right.
Three's Company.
We can't afford the Great Muta to fly over, or like any of these crazy.
As a mystery, no less. Oh, hey, Joey Janela, you're working Jushin Liger.
Yeah, I don't even know if we would draw enough tickets if we advertise these people months in advance.
I want to give a shout out to the guy that said Jeff Hardy. Like, we're just going to drop more than this apartment probably is worth on a mystery guy for Joey Janela.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling fans are crazy. Now, Candace was really the initial person you reached out to, but was there a short list if she couldn't make it of people that you guys
Get
had?
that far. When
Didn't
she
even have
said,
to
yeah,
worry
that
about
was it.
Yeah, that was kind of like the general consensus is like, we met at training and we were talking, and Biggins is just like, Candace. I'm like, we have like it in our multiple chat groups that we have. We also have one with Candace that is very, very, very rarely used. It was just used for like training stuff, and he just like pulled up his phone, found that group, and then that was it. The rest was history.
And there's been AIW shows where she says like, "Hey guys, I'm open on such and such," and it just doesn't work out with flights and everything. But this time it worked out fine. So.
Yeah, like she was at Jelly the Month Club just hanging out, but she didn't, she was just home for the holidays and didn't want to wrestle that, she was, I guess, kind of nursing some injuries and stuff like that. So she was just like, she was around for that, and I think that's kind of what had her fresh in her mind, too, was we had just seen her at the last show.
Well, so let's go from that match and
whoever she was with has just signed posters available on shop.aiwrestling.com. Currently available.
Whoever she was with?
Whoever she was with.
She was accompanied by somebody
that
evening, yes.
Yeah. Her gentleman caller.
Well, he was in the background there at AIW. Not a lot of people got to see him, but now you can get merch.
I never seen somebody run and hide so fast than when the last bell rang, he ran right down the stairs.
He can't be seen taking pictures with people.
That's true. But you have posters, so check them out. What is the shop?
Shop.aiwrestling.com. We have a poster blowout, all autographed posters, even walk the plank posters.
There you go. All right. We'll go through the card here with everybody else that was on it. It was stacked. So many good matches. Such great positive feedback, I think, from the show in general. Again, taking the negative, going to the positive.
It was kind of like a real angle-heavy show, but you need those sometimes to kind of, break up the, just kind of flat line of just, you can have a whole show of good matches and nobody's going to remember a fucking one of them. So, like, we try to do a lot of angles and kind of create some interest and come up with kind of a, start the blueprint of the march forward to, like, Absolution and stuff like that. We started somewhat laying the groundwork on some stuff.
Because I think it set up like 3 or 4 different Gauntlet for the Gold matches just in one night. You don't see a lot of independents do that where we're building, like, the cards.
And like I said, we're going to get shitty DVD reviews of it, but the live crowd was very, very into everything that's happening. And
we would get shitty DVD reviews if we booked Jushin Liger and the Great Muta for the Joey Janela spot. So
I think it's going to depend because a lot of the matches, even though they were angle heavy, turned out to be just great standalone or very fun standalone matches to watch.
Everything I feel over-delivered. I mean, especially PB Smooth versus Kaplan, very much exceeded expectations. Kaplan tried to get a little crazy with like a double jump acai moonsault.
Yeah, that did not work well.
That didn't go too well, but I mean, other than that, that's to be expected in a Kaplan match because he loves to overdo it and try something.
And I really don't think he knows his strength or his size, where he like thinks he's a luchador.
Yeah, so I mean, other than that, in which, that might be a selling point for that match because it was a sight to see for him to try this double jump acai moonsault.
And they were really hitting each other. After the match, they both look a little rough for wear.
They did. Even Kaplan, on a night that had a lot of like fun little pops in there, even Kaplan got a fun pop because he is now unemployed and decided to show that off to the live crowd. And
Spoiler
down
alert!
t-shirts.
Spoiler alert! He's picked himself up new employment. He'll be traveling the country as a asphalt specialist, laying asphalt around.
Specialist.
So he might be backing away from the wrestling business.
Just a little bit.
Oh man,
Just a little bit, but there'll always be a spot in our hearts for old Captain.
He says he's got to go make his money, travel on the road, building roads.
Well, one of the matches that really wasn't angle heavy though was the opener, which was a 4-way. Sean Schultz ended up getting the win, and Facade, Flip Kendrick, and Lucky 13 were all there. And being in the ring as Lucky 13 came out, I can answer the question because he told the audience as he was out there, and somebody shouted, "Is Lucky 13 drunk again?" As we know from,
I could tell you that I could assure you that he wasn't, and I'm sure that you can confirm that.
That is correct.
He wasn't because his fiance listens to the podcast and escorted him to AIW this time around.
And demanded that if she had to come to Cleveland, Ohio, he had to take her on a 4-day vacation.
Oh.
So he was like going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
He turned it into a Valentine's Day vacation.
There you go.
He went and hit all the sites of Cleveland, and just like Lucky 13 does, he bought all sorts of pointless sports memorabilia and merch that he doesn't even like.
Well, yeah, he really took this as like a vacation. He went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He bought all that sports stuff like Thorne was saying, and then wore them all to Pittsburgh where he went to Permane Brothers.
Yeah, so he was definitely sober though. He was under a tight watch after last time. He came to Cleveland, so he was on his best behavior this time around.
And it should be noted that probably part of the reason why that happened is there was no Uncle Guido this time around either.
No Guido, no Guido this time around.
Guido, my favorite DMer.
Yeah, follow him on Twitter.
He just DMs me excited for the J-Lit. There's a little spoiler.
I like when he thinks he's DMing, but it's just a tweet where he goes,
Yeah,
"Looking forward to seeing you, big man."
he thinks
Or he just has one tweet that just says, "It's always a party."
That's what his DMs are too.
Next time he's in town, we're gonna have to sit him down and teach him.
I would
how
say
Twitter
probably.
works.
I would say that Guido really loves Cleveland on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, I mean I've already announced that he's coming back. I said that on my Twitter. I guess another sidetrack is how that started was I was driving by Guido's favorite bar, the one bar that he always walks to or runs to. I happened to be driving by it, and I took a picture of it and I texted it to him. And Guido responded, "Oh man, I'll be back there in May for sure. Hey John, I'm on Twitter now. Follow me." And I said, "What's your Twitter name? What's your Twitter handle?" He goes, "Oh man, I don't know. It's Nunzio Guido, but I don't know how to make that little dash thing on a phone." I said, "Okay, man, I'll find it. It's Nunzio_Guido."
And Nunzio, if you don't know, is Nunzio. People.
Yeah, he didn't know how to make an underscore on an iPhone though.
Get Guido to 1 million followers here. Help us out.
Yeah, that's a goal. Get Guido to 1 million followers. But Lucky 13 was on his best behavior, and I think that was probably for the best because he was fucking awesome in the match.
Match was a lot of fun. Sean Schultz really kind of, debuting, so to speak, the Southern style. And people bought into that by the end of the match. That was a fun time.
Yeah, I think Sean Schultz has finally, found something that connected. He's been coming in for the last couple of months, and I think this, his kind of new approach with this Southern style, character that he's trying to do, and I think it seems to have really caught on. I know, a lot of people kind of contacted me about that and said they were really impressed with Sean Schultz for the first time.
Yeah, he's a guy that we've been getting a lot of compliments about, and it really shows how you build somebody up, because we had the idea to make this a guy a while ago, and it just takes time. It just takes time for the fans to adapt to him and start to like him, and I think the fans are really starting to like him, and we knew from day one that this guy was going to be a player.
Yeah, and Facade definitely had a great performance.
Oh, yeah.
And we had him all in there with the William Regal of AIW, Flip Kendrick.
Of course.
We put him out there and we had him test out the
measuring stick.
Yeah, test out the guys we're thinking about working with. So Flip gave a thumbs up to all involved. He gave us a nice typed report on Sean Schultz's new character. So good for him.
Well, as we've already talked about a couple different surprises throughout the night, another one that happened It was supposed to be Britt Baker and Swoggle one-on-one, and then Britt gets attacked by Dr. Dan and Brian Carson, two people she trained with at AIW. And then out comes Space Justice, who is not on the card.
To the Stone Cold Steve Austin pop, no less.
That's right.
They got.
Yeah, people love those fucking guy, cop and his ape.
They love that. They love that intergalactic. I don't know what the fuck they are.
Well, suddenly we had an intergender, interspecies match that the audience really took to that too. I mean, again, they
Where
love
else
Space
but AIW
Justice.
are you going to have a monkey, a cop, a
girl?
doctor, a midget, and a girl, and Brian Carson in one match?
All in one match.
And a Brian Carson. You got all those things and a Brian Carson all in one match.
Brian
Brian Carson, the cherry on top of that Sunday.
He's excellence personified.
Yeah, he's something.
He was there. It was that. I mean, that was another one that was just a fun match in general. And then
Swoggle continuing to be real creepy.
real creepy.
Went shirtless for a while.
Yeah, real rude. Trying to get all the spanks in he could.
Yeah, very strange guy.
Yeah.
As we'll get to probably later.
My favorite part of the Hornswoggle thing is he doesn't think he's creepy, but he's like licking her abs.
Right.
He got real offended that somebody said he was creepy.
Well, as you heard last week, we sat down with Gringo Loko. It was his big return to AIW. So now we can get into that since the event happened. We've already talked to him from before Walk the Plank. But the next match we can talk about is the triple threat tag match for the titles, which did see the return of Crazy Pain for the first time since Gringo Loko did have the heart attack, and they got to defend their titles successfully.
Yeah, first time in 2 months that he wrestled. First match back, and I was real excited for him. He loved the crowd reaction, and it was a very touching moment. You know, we talked about the Paul Burchill thing, but it was also cool to see this guy get like a redemption story. And like, you know, he was very emotional in the back about it, and, you know, it worked out for him, and everything went smooth and very, very positive.
A very heart-warming start to 2017 was Walk the Plank.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting off on a great foot here for AIW in 2017.
I'm sure the whole fucking year is going to take a real shitty turn in about 2
Yeah, it
weeks.
always does.
Don't you worry, listeners.
That was another fun match. I will say at one point he comes to the outside of the ring and I'm sitting there and I couldn't help. I had to check on the kid. He rolls out there and I'm like, "You okay? You good? Good? Yeah, I'm all right. Just real tired."
Check out the kid. What is he, like 15?
Yeah, I don't know. I like to say kid. He's older than me, I think. But that was a fun, and we'll just touch on that since you already heard from Gringo Loko last week. But again, the redemption story there. We talked Tolar. Here's another one. We talked about Angle Heavy. Tolar took on BJ Whitmer. That match, we have a run-in, so to speak. Dominic Guarini sitting over on commentary, jumps the gate and drives a spike into the Duke's heart.
Too bad he's still alive.
Should have taught him in wrestling school to go deeper.
Just spiked him.
I tried to tell Duke to get the sword out and get a little kizaller, but
Coast to coast.
he was a little bit of a pussy.
Won't do it. It's tax season. If it was off season, he would have.
I said, Duke, you need the sword. I said, you got to get a little color tonight.
Ear to ear, brother.
He said, fuck you. That's what he said to me. And I said, well, thanks for fucking up my taxes this year, Duke. I owe the fucking IRS.
Yeah, and probably because that podcast episode we did with him.
Well, what is wrong with this? You got a lawyer that can't really defend you. You got an accountant that can't do accounting.
I don't know, man. My life is fucked.
Welcome to small business.
But talk a little bit about that match. And as we said, it was Angle Heavy. I guess the ending more so. Now we're going to look at a Dominic Guarini, BJ Whitmer, submit or surrender. And that's kind of a big deal for somebody coming right out of the AIW school. That's, for the most part, that's a high-profile deal.
And like we've been saying in the past, it's kind of like, just give these students enough rope to hang themselves with and see what happens. And, this is just another opportunity for Dom to go out and either deliver or choke. And so thus far he's delivered, and it's paying off not only for him in AIW, but for him as a whole. He's starting to get booked all over the country. Full-time in Alpha One. They just went down to CWF Mid-Atlantic. Dom has got a bunch of bookings lined up WrestleMania weekend coming up. So, I think it's just kind of I think what we're doing with these students is working, some more so than others. But, Dom has been constantly delivering. So it's like, let's put him in a big match situation. Let's put him in a big stipulation match and, see how he can kind of take this new test.
And like to give BJ Whitmer credit, like, we put the students in with him and Eddie Kingston because they're two grizzled veterans that aren't going to take it easy on anybody.
Yeah, like no kid gloves or anything. Like these guys are going to get...
Like you're going to get beat up, but you're going to learn.
Like they're going to get them ready, like road ready, I guess. You know what I mean? To where in a school or something like that, it's kind of a more controlled environment or something. I really don't know how to explain it, but...
And it's different. Like if we booked Dom versus Dr. Dan for 30 shows, they're not going to learn as much wrestling each other as one match against a BJ Whitmer or Eddie Kingston.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, too. You have Eddie and BJ are both very honest guys, too, where, they can tell these guys, no,
they're going to tell them,
you suck.
Tell them what's what.
Yeah. Or you can keep going.
I saw BJ Whitmer talk to the Weird World after their match.
And the Duke.
Oh, well, the Duke was louder.
Well,
No, I
despite
meant BJ talking to the Duke.
Oh, yeah. Get out of my way, old man.
despite there being angles, one match that really wasn't an angle, but a fun one for people live. And I think if you watch the DVD or the digital download from Smart Mark Video, one match that you're going to just have a blast watching is Raymond Rowe and Laredo Kid.
Yeah, I'm going to, there's really not a lot to say about that match except for Laredo Kid probably wishes he would have disappeared during it because it was brutal. And, that's easily the match of the show. No doubt.
Yeah.
But I don't know, though, because Laredo Kid was some of his strikes against Ray Rowe, I was cringing.
Yeah, Laredo Kid gives it right back, which
absolutely.
people would probably not see coming. But, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot to say about that match except for just watch it. If some of this stuff on this show isn't for you, I guarantee you Raymond Rowe versus Laredo Kid is for everybody.
Yeah, hands down. I mean, you can't say enough.
We've talked a million times on here about our fandom of UFC being when it was the freak show, like in the early days. And there's no bigger UFC 1 through 10 matchup than Raymond Rowe and Laredo Kid because you got a big bruiser guy who smash mouth, suplex, all that stuff versus a luchador. What will happen? What style is going to be superior?
Yeah, a lot of fun there.
You might say it was a style battle.
Towards the end of the card now, and we'll talk
Swan style.
There was the intense title match between Alex Daniels, of course, Gregory Iron out there, and Ethan Page. And as we talk about how heartwarming this show was, it had a sour moment. Alex Daniels tried to make a child cry. He did make the child cry.
Well, that's probably because he cried his entire life up until about 6 months ago.
I'm still not sure if he's not still crying.
Well, he did make that child cry because the kid said he didn't like
If I would have known about that, I probably would have went out there and stopped the fucking match because once I heard about that really pissed me off.
But, not unfortunately. Fortunately, Ethan Page came out to save the day. The kid was wearing an Ethan Page t-shirt. Ethan Page makes Little Jackson a part of the whole thing, even asked him to be his tag team partner at one point.
Which, if I was putting money on it, how old was the kid?
Maybe like 9?
Oh, he could easily beat Greg Iron's ass.
Yeah. Well, Ethan Page even announced him and said weighing more than Gregory Iron. So that was fun. Kid, he was fine. Jackson's good by the end of it. He was happy. We have a nice little anti-bullying message. Again, continuing the heartwarming trend.
That's right.
Sending positive messages out there.
Sending out the positivity in the universe in 2017.
That's what we're all about here at AIW.
Positive PMA, brother.
The title match was fun. I know we talked about angles, and this one was angle heavy. Josh Prohibition, Tracy Williams, ends in a no contest, thanks to Tim Donst. But what a match it was before Donst even comes out to interrupt that. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to actually sit there and watch it.
Oh, it was great, and that was I understand that was a risky kind of decision to book that great main event with a no finish.
Yeah,
I understand that's going to piss people off, but that was the point, is to piss people off. And if you're pissed about it, it worked.
Yeah, because I saw a couple people complain, but then a couple people were like, I hated it, but I know where it's going to and I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's tough from a fan standpoint because you're watching it, you're so invested in it, and at that point you want to know who's coming out on top, and then for there to be
But are you mad that when you go see the Avengers that they set up for the next
right,
time?
right, yes, precisely. But it's still a fun match, and people even bought into and really soaked up that whole moment as a referees are sorting out. Well, this is what happened. Well, this is what happened. And meanwhile, you have
We're telling stories out there.
Prohibition,
We're making movies, brother.
Hot Sauce passing the belt back and forth, and now that leads to a
People don't realize that all the shows lead into another. It's a continual story.
Well, not all of them, but we try to do enough to keep some loose stories going.
right.
Just to keep people interested, because there are people that do want to see stuff like that, and there are people that just want to see these.
Yeah, it's definitely a mix. It's not like every match, continues to the next month. There are
Sure.
just sometimes we do for good matches, sometimes we do for good stories, but it's trying to have a combination of all of it to make a successful operation.
And that match in particular does set up a triple threat now at Gauntlet for the Gold, which would be Hot Sauce Tracy Williams, Tim Donst, Josh Prohibition. But if Tim loses, he does not get a title shot for the entire year,
Yeah, so where could it go?
High stakes at Gauntlet for the Gold, man.
which is a lot of fun because, look, that means that if Tim wanted to enter into Gauntlet for the Gold after losing that match, doesn't matter, right?
He can win the number one contendership and
do nothing with it.
Can't do anything with it.
And the whole point of Walk the Plank was now you're looking forward to Gauntlet for the Gold. All 4 matches were set up the month before.
And there's all sorts of high stakes on the line.
Because you forgot to talk about Dominic Garrini, BJ Whitmer. BJ Whitmer will have to leave AIW if
That's
he
right.
loses.
Not only is it a submit or surrender match,
And Dominic Garrini will have to be his bitch boy, young boy.
there was that stipulation too. That match is just loaded with possibilities there, right there. Well, as fun as all of that was, and I think we are all looking forward to Gauntlet for the Gold, but before we can even do that, as usual, there was the AIW after party at May Halls.
Before you talk about that, the big celebrity from last time, Kenny Wang, he was in the house at Walk the Plank, and he is none the more pleased that he is now a podcast celebrity.
I did not think he was ever going to come back after exposing all of those stories.
He comes back and goes, man, the podcast was great. I'm ready to jump now.
He's got Kenny Wang Yang merch.
So before we even get to more stories of the after party or make Kenny Wang even more of a celebrity, since he does happen to keep coming to our shows, I believe our sponsor has something that Kenny Wang could use if he wants to come to the next show.
Well, Kenny Wang shockingly came back to AIW shows. He's a full-timer every show now, he says. Well, guess what, Kenny Wang? If you come to our next show, Gauntlet for the Gold, Thrift Store Jobber, our friends, they have a great item for you. Going all the way back to 1996, a WWF Travel Club seat cushion. That's right. Those bleachers are hard, but it's going to be fine after you get one of these cushions. It's at thriftstoreJobber.bigcartel.com. It's the Instagram account, Thrift Store Jobber, the eBay account, Thrift Store Jobber. Check them out, especially Kenny Wang. Buy it up.
All right, so now we're at the after party, and the usual chaos kind of, I guess, ensues. We didn't have our own upstairs apartment this time. I think they learned their lesson.
I think that's closed off.
We'll probably
to us.
never have that again.
I don't think.
Yeah, we're not trusted anymore. But they did let us come back, which was really nice after a 2-month hiatus. How many people do we have at this thing? No Kaplan craziness, with the exception of Swoggle tried to convince him to.
There was Kaplan craziness.
There was some.
He brought his own beer to the bar, and we got
that's
screamed
right.
at.
That's right. We got in trouble because he was going to shotgun a beer.
Yeah, that is not allowed at a bar. I don't know how many bars Kaplan goes to.
Kaplan came in smoking a cigarette, which you're not allowed to smoke indoors in Ohio, and he brought his own beer into the bar, and he thought that was acceptable.
And then shotgunned it right in the open area of the bar.
Right in the middle of the bar. And I got screamed at.
Swoggle tried to get him to drink flower water, and that was the one thing that Kaplan said, no, that smells like shit. I won't do that. We finally found something.
That's where he draws the line.
Draws the line.
Yeah, draws the line there. And then Swoggle decides at 2 a.m. that he's going to be a bowler.
He wanted to just throw strikes, he said.
He did. He really wanted.
Bowling alley was closed hours before.
We didn't know. We were trying to bowl.
Mahal calls me in to be the security force
because Hornswoggle is headbutting the glass door trying to get the bowling alley unlocked.
The Lauren Boo, shout out to her, did give us bowling shoes for Swoggle. But
Just to wear for real life?
Yeah. She threw them at him. Well, I threw them at him. But then he decided since he couldn't bowl, he didn't want to put those on. And I couldn't put his real shoes back on. I was struggling there.
I missed all this because Cleveland wrestling legend Mike Stryker showed up.
Oh, that's right.
In his hibachi uniform.
I don't think it's a bartender outfit, but
Well, he had a uniform on, and he just started buying me Jameson drinks, and then I got real emotional.
You
and
did.
I missed all this. I got real emotional with my former tag team partner Matt Justice. We got real emotional.
I was going to say
together.
Matt Justice was also there.
We got real emotional with each other, and we missed all this Hornswoggle shenanigans.
so because he's busy with that, I get called in as the senior member of management available at the time.
Yeah.
'Cause I was crying in my halls, just getting all my feelings out.
I was in
And,
trouble with Swoggle.
Yeah, well, Steve Guy, you're not an authoritative person.
Well,
I called in. I was having none of his fucking midget
For
bullshit.
some reason, I can handle Homicide, but I can't handle Swoggle.
The last thing that I saw of Hornswoggle was he had to get his stuff out of my car, and I saw him walking down the street holding hands with AIW fan Adam Laporta like they were father and son.
because he couldn't walk.
And that was the last I saw of Swoggle.
Yeah, I helped him walk to the car. We turned the corner. Laporta couldn't handle anymore, so AIW student Josh and I each took a hand and walked side by side with Swoggle, the three of us.
He's like a grown child.
It was. I picked him up, I put him in the car, helped him get in there.
Put him in his car seat.
Yeah, it was a great time. I had fun. I
His
couldn't.
booster seat.
For some reason, I just couldn't get his shoes on while we were in the bar.
It's because you had bowling shoes on him.
Well, no, they were off, but then I couldn't get his real shoes back on.
And then all the girls that kept walking by just go, "Ew, your feet stink," and he just smiles at them.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it was his feet.
Something was going on there. I'm sorry, Swoggle, but you had some major issues going on. I don't know if I would be having him ride in my car after that.
Anything else happen at this after party that we need to let
That
people
pretty
know
much,
about?
That pretty much wrapped it up at that point.
It was rather tame.
It's because I wasn't angry this year. I was like,
You
emotional.
were sad this
I was
one.
emotional. I was just getting all my feelings out about like my ex-girlfriend and like Valentine's Day. Then I just would repeat the entire story over again from the top.
And then he kept going, as big as he knows, and I had no clue what they were talking about because, like, I was on the other side of the room. But people would come over and ask me something. I'd be like, I don't know what they're talking about.
People got to stop giving me so much of a variety of drinks at these after parties. I had a White Russian, a Tito's and water, a Jameson and ginger, and a fucking PBR tall boy, all in my
I
hand.
know who bought you the Jameson, Striker Daddy.
Oh,
Yeah.
Swoggle was buying drinks thinking that people were drinking them quicker than they were. At one point, like, we're standing at the bar and there are 6 vodka and sodas or something sitting in front of us. I'm like, dude, who are these for? He's like, well, Thorne needed one and Chandler needed. I'm like, Bigginson's isn't drinking this.
He's spending all that Muppets Lost in New York money or whatever the fuck he was in.
Just going left and right. I'm like,
He
nobody's
got real
drinking
mad at me
these.
too because he made such a mess at the bar. I just started, because I'm Chandler the handler. I just wanted to make a good impression, so I start cleaning up his mess. He was making a big mess.
Oh, shout out to the guy who looked like the lead singer of Yellow Card. He was there with bright
It's a
blonde
weird
hair.
reference.
Yeah, that was a Swoggle thing. He pointed him out, and we had to Google it.
So that's why he kept saying, "Hey, fucking yellow card."
Yeah, that's exactly why he kept saying that.
Oh, all right. Well,
Punk Pop's not dead.
I think he was friends with Kenny Wang. I'm not sure.
Kenny Wang. He's getting his own
Anyway,
merch.
I ejected from the building because him and Swoggle were going to fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering where Kenny Wang went. That was going to be the question.
I don't know, man. Everything's a blur. I saw Swoggle walk down like a father and son with Laporta walking down the street, and then EFW legend Mike Stryker drove me to my place of sleep for the night, and then he made me promise that I'll never expose any of his true secret stories on the AIW podcast.
And then he pulled me aside and had a big speech with me saying, whatever you do, don't let Thorne expose me.
So your secrets are safe with me for now, Mr. Stryker.
Well, that pretty much wraps up the show here, and that it wraps up the wrap-up, I guess, of Walk the Plank. We hope you guys enjoyed this show. We hope you enjoyed Walk the Plank. If you haven't watched it yet, go back and do so. Definitely a fun show from top to bottom. Whether you like angles or don't like angles, there's definitely something for everybody on there, and it will lead you into Gauntlet for the Gold. Thanks again to our sponsors, the Ebb Tide Treatment Center, Thrift Store Jobbers, Smart Mark Video, Angelo's Pizza, and Jack Prince. For Chandler Biggins and John Thorne, my name's Steve Guy. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks.
At least it was only that this time.